For this activity, we're going to continue to work in the number 2 deployment schedule sheet. We've just leveraged our new levels formula in combination with conditional formatting to automate the formatting of our sheet based on what level of hierarchy each row is in. But notice how all level 3 items have now been given the specified level 3 formatting. This has turned many of our tasks on the sheet bold and given them a gray background, and visually this doesn't really help us better discern the groupings in the rows. So what if we wanted to get a bit more specific and only apply this special formatting if one of these items, if the level 3 item is also a parent row? For example, here on row number 9, iron delivery has been broken down into smaller shipments. Having that unique level 3 formatting really helps us discern that there are some additional subtasks below, but we wouldn't necessarily want to see that same level 3 formatting on individual tasks like row number 12, build an anvil, or row number 13, test connections. So how do we address this? Well, what if we want to apply the formatting only when a row is a parent? We'd have to first be able to determine whether or not a row is a parent. So let's take a look at how we can leverage Smartsheet formulas to decipher this. So how do we know if a row is a parent? Well, a parent has children. We can leverage an if function in Smartsheet to run a logical test and determine if a row has any children. If we count the number of children, and that number is greater than 0, then the row is a parent. If we count the number of children, and there are none, we know that row is not a parent. So leveraging this logic, we can utilize an if function to test if a row is a parent or not. Our function would look something like this. Count the children of our primary column. If that number is greater than 0, then it's a parent. If not, it's not a parent. Let's see that in action on the sheet. I'm going to leverage the level formula that we've already written, and if the row happens to be a parent, this is the function or formula that I want to spit out if it's a parent. So let's take a look at this in action in Smartsheet. I'm still going to leverage the level formula we wrote, but instead of always returning our level number, I only want to return this number if the row also is a parent. So let's go ahead and just highlight that text and copy it for safekeeping. Now I can input the formula we had written. If we count the children of our task name, and that number is greater than 0, if that statement is true, now I can paste in my level function. If that statement is false, I don't want anything to appear, so I'm going to leave the false section blank. Now, something unique with the children function here in this level formula, you'll notice that I've put a cell reference inside of my children function. I put a reference to our task name or primary column for row number 1. This is something you'll need to do in order to avoid circular references on your sheet. Because the primary column is one that we tend to fill out completely on every sheet, because in this case it's the description for every task, we'll have something that we can always rely on and always reliably count. So this is going to help us avoid any kind of circular references as well. I'll click on return, and we'll see that we do in fact get the number 1 returned here on row number 1, because deployment schedule, our very first task on the sheet, is a parent. But if I copy this formula all the way down, I'll use that downfill method again. You'll notice that some of our row numbers, or level numbers, have disappeared. The only time we see a level number are in instances where the row is also a parent. So here we have iron delivery on row number 9 with our level 3, but notice how none of the other level 3s are popping up because none of them are parents. Now we have a level formula that's able to discern a level number only for tasks that are also parents with this comprehensive level formula. Now the conditional formatting rules are still taking place and still applying, but now the automatic formatting is dependent on the fact that rows are also parents. I'll go ahead and click on Save to save these changes.